The non-stick pans or pots that you're cooking with every single day may just be toxic to your health. The non-stick coating that they have on these pans are essentially made of plastic. If these plastics get into your food and therefore you consume it, these are the types of substances that are very difficult for your body to excrete. Microplastics, unfortunately, are everywhere, and the more that we accumulate, we know the worse it is for our health. And so in this video, I want to show you some of the types of pans that you want to avoid, why microplastics and the non-sticks, why they are actually harmful and in what way they are harmful to your body, and the types of pans that you want to use, the types of pans that don't have any risk of this non-stick plastic substance getting into your body. Let's begin. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining in for another video. And this one has been one I've been planning for a very long time. I've been on a journey on researching different types of pans, trying to get my set of pans to a state where it's actually healthy, because for a long time I've been using non-sticks, and for a long time and increasingly I'm learning more and more about the issues about non-stick pans, and the main thing is just that plastic coating. So this is often referred to as teflon, so you want to avoid, ideally, or at least limit teflon types of pans, as well as hex-clad, because that also contains plastic. Now I will say that these pans are one of the best for performance. They're one of the best for non-stick, and the alternatives that I'm going to go through are very good, but they don't tend to be as good as a new non-stick pan. But I think that the issues with the health issues with these non-stick pans is going to outweigh the benefits of the non-stick pans. And these other pans I'm going to go through aren't that bad at all, and there's one in particular that is actually very good that I've only just got. So what are some of the issues with these microplastics in our bodies? Well, firstly, surgeons have found accumulations of microplastics in most patients that they've done surgery on when they did a study on this. So the majority of people had a level of microplastics in the body, and it's been said that it's not a question of whether you have it in your body, but just how much, because so many things that we have nowadays contains plastics. And so it's very hard to not to consume plastics. For example, kettles are very often made of plastics. We often drink, particularly hot drinks, out of plastic. Even the takeaway coffee cups, they're lined with plastic in the inside. Even tin cans are lined with plastic. So there's a lot of things that you'll think won't be plastic, but actually do contain plastic. And just because there isn't any evidence yet, or let's say strong evidence, there is actually evidence about the health risks, but there may be an argument that there isn't strong evidence about these health risks, doesn't mean therefore it's safe. And I always think it's better to go on the more cautious side, particularly when we're looking at these long-term risks, and particularly when it comes to things like heart disease and cancer, and these things that seem like they just pop out of nowhere and you can't do anything about. I think that you absolutely can do things about them, but you have to start early, and this is one way that you can do that. So issues that microplastics cause in the body will include things like problems to your digestion, causing things like IBS. It can accumulate in your lungs, causing inflammation, causing lung issues. But one of the biggest issues that's relatively well known, or the more well-known issue for microplastics, is being an endocrine disruptor. That basically means it can disrupt and interfere with the hormones in your body. That can lead to many, many different things, because your hormones will control or be involved with most of the functions in your body. One of the things, of course, can be infertility, which you absolutely want to avoid, particularly when you're younger. But it can also affect things, obviously, when you get older, because hormones are involved in all sorts of different functions within the body. So the question, therefore, is what pan should we use? Well, fortunately, there is actually a lot of different types of pans that you can use. One type of pan that's been around for a very long time is cast iron. Cast iron, as the name suggests, is made of iron. It is a very, very durable pan, and they are the types of pans that will last pretty much forever. The advantage of a cast iron pan is it can be heated pretty much as you like. It doesn't have a non-stick coating, and the longer you have a cast iron pan, the more oil, the more surface it starts to build up. It's called, they call it seasoning. The more seasoned the pan is, the more non-stick it's going to be. And it's actually a very good and durable pan to use, and it can be used for pretty much most types of cooking. The next pan that you can look out for is a stainless steel pan. So I've got a couple down here as an example that I've got not too long ago. One of them is just a basic pot. I really don't see any necessity, at least for the types of things that I cook, for a non-stick in this type of pan. So stainless steel is brilliant because it doesn't have that non-stick, and there really isn't any risk to health on this. And then I've got a bigger pan for the kind of bigger stews, that sort of stuff, kind of like a wok style. Not really a wok, but if you're making a big pot or something. Now, the only thing with this, so with stainless steel, you want to make sure that you're heating it up really high. I don't believe that stainless steel is an issue with being heated at high heats, but you want to make sure it's hot, and because it adds to the non-stick. So you want to put the food in when it's really hot, not when it's just warming up. So that's a fantastic pan. Now, there are some stuff that I wouldn't cook in here. For example, eggs can be a bit difficult because it's not a naturally non-stick type of pan. So eggs is more difficult, but things like a steak would be absolutely fine in most cases. I'm not an expert in cooking. Maybe the chefs would disagree in terms of the performance, but from what I can see, that type of thing is okay. Or something that contains a lot of water or a lot of oil will then just help it obviously to not stick to the pan. Now, the next type of pan is a ceramic coating pan. Ceramic is essentially made of sand, so even if it does start to degrade or break down, then it's not going to be toxic to your health. The only issue is if it does start to scratch or break down, you're going to start to lose the non-stick function. So one of the ceramic pans that I have is actually the Always pan. You've probably seen this advertised like crazy on social media these days, but they are very good pans. They're very nice looking pans. They're on the upper end of the price scale. You can definitely get cheaper ceramic types of pans, but we've got a big pot here, and so far it's in perfect condition. There's no scratches, and that's the way you want to keep it. The way you keep it like that is firstly not using any metal utensils at all, and you also don't want to use this at high heat. Medium heat, I believe, is okay, but high heat is just going to mean it's going to break down. And that is also the thing with, if you are going to use a non-stick Teflon pan, if you are going to use it, there's a few things that you can do to make sure that you reduce any toxic effects from it. The first thing is that you're not using it under extreme heat, because the extreme heat is going to help it to break down faster, which then is going to release or have a higher chance of the non-stick releasing and the plastics releasing into your food. You want to make sure that, again, you don't use metal utensils in a non-stick pan. And if you do get scratches on it, throw it away. It is really important that if you got scratches on it, that you don't continue using it, because if it's got scratches, then it's almost certainly going to be leaching into your food. Non-stick pans generally only have a certain lifespan. Even the ceramics will have a certain lifespan. But the good thing about ceramics is that even if you go over that lifespan, it's not toxic. With the non-sticks, you want to make sure that as soon as you get a scratch, you're throwing it away. Usually non-sticks will last no more than a few years. It's much better that you're replacing those regularly if you are going to use them. But the gold standard is to try not to use them at all. Now, the next pan is a pan again from our place. And this is a pan that I had to wait a couple of months for. It was obviously high in demand. And this is a very cool pan, I think, in my opinion. And that is the titanium pan. So this titanium pan is supposed to be 300% harder than aluminium. And because of the type of metal, and also because of the ridges that they created in here, firstly, it doesn't need any coating. So there's absolutely no coating on it. It's a very hard metal, so it's not going to break down into your food. So the risks are pretty much zero. And the good thing about this pan is you can heat it pretty much, if from what I can see, as much as you like. It's kind of like the cast iron pan. It doesn't really have an upper limit that you would likely get it to, at least in the kitchen. It's an extremely durable pan, and it's a pan that's been referred to as a forever pan because it's not supposed to break or break down. So it's not one you have to replace. So this was the much more expensive out of all the others that I've got, but because it's supposed to last forever, or at least for a very long time, I thought it was worth the investment. The non-stick on here is not bad at all. It's not quite as good as if you bought a non-stick teflon pan, but it is very good. Again, you've got to make sure you heat it to a high amount, and then you use not actually that much oil, which is kind of ideal. And the non-stick function is very good. So this is the type of pan that I use for eggs, for steaks. You can pretty much use it for whatever you like, and it's extremely durable, easy to clean. So this one I can definitely highly recommend. Now the last pan, which I don't have, is the carbon steel pan. Again, I believe that's also a very good pan. It doesn't have that Teflon and non-stick coating. Again though, the non-stick function isn't going to be as good as Teflon, but it is going to be much better for your health. So out of those pans that I've got there, the titanium pan that I just showed you is probably going to be your best non-stick pan. The other thing that I really like about it is that it doesn't have any maintenance. You don't really have to do anything. I do put a little bit of oil on it after I finish washing it. It's supposed to just help to make it more non-stick the next time you use it. But other than that, you don't have to do too much to it. The cast iron is also going to be very good, but you do have to season it and you do have to look after it. But if you do that, it can actually be a very good pan. So hopefully that's given you a good idea of the types of pans that you should look for if you want to improve your health, particularly those long-term health, reducing those long-term health risks. I'm still improving my sets of pans. We do have a few non-sticks, but I think over time we're going to be using less and less of them, but we are very strict on throwing away if there's any scratches on the pans. If you want to get the titanium Our Place Always pan or the ceramic Our Place Always pan that I just showed you, I'll put some links in the description there that you can get. They are very nice pans. They're nice looking pans as well, and I think the function is very good. Hopefully that's been useful. Put any comments below and I'll try and answer them. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next week. Take care.